2004 Chevy Avalanche 1500 with four-wheel drive. The brake bleeder screw has broken off. We're going to attempt to try to extract it and replace it with a new one. First, we'll start by taking the rear tire off because that's the one that broke. Alright, take the lug nuts off. Pretty quick, huh? Take the tire off. It's just so don't smash you and get hurt because it's pretty heavy. And the bleeder screw, if you can get a good enough shot, is right here. There's not a lot of light there. Let me grab a little. See it a little better. So that's the bleeder screw that broke off, flush to the top. So we're going to try to use the easy out to take that sucker out of there and hopefully just replace it with a new one so we don't have to get a new caliper. And give us just a minute here and we'll get our tools together and show you what you need. Okay, so the tools we're going to use today is we got this set of grab-it bits for extracting broken bolts and damaged screws, and it comes in a set of 4. We're going to use grab-it bit number 1 because since the bleeder screw already has a hole in the middle of it, hopefully we won't have to drill it and we'll be able to just get this one in there and get it out. You're going to need a little wrench that fits on this so you can turn it once it gets tight in the hole. And if you don't have the right size wrench, which this one is a 1/4 inch, then you can also use your handy adjustable wrench that you can adjust to any size to fit. So now we're going to try to put the bit into the hole on the bleeder. So I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a hole right in the middle there. So the part of the bit with the threads on it is what we're going to start putting in first. You're going to turn it just like you would like you're trying to break it loose. Once it starts grabbing tightly in there, that's when you grab your little wrench, and we'll see if we can get it to actually grab the bleeder to get it broke loose out of there. And just try to make sure you keep it straight up and down, because if you start going crooked you might have some problems. What we're hoping for is that this bit is going to grab hold of the bleeder here and start working it loose. And start getting real tight, so a lot of pressure applied here. Okay, so extracting the bleeder screw obviously not going to work. Our easy out has broken off inside the bleeder. So unfortunately we are going to have to replace the whole caliper here, which is a lot more expensive than just the bleeder screw. But we'll have to go to the store and buy the part. Okay, so taking the bleeder screw out didn't work, so we had to go to the auto parts store, buy a brand new caliper with the new bleeder screw and everything. Pick this up at your local O'Reilly parts store. There's the part number for it in case you need it. And basically what we're going to do first is we'll crack loose the brake line right here. We're not going to take the screw out because if you take it all the way out, your fluid is just going to run all over. That's why we got our oil pan down here. If you don't crack this loose before you take the caliper off, it's a pain in the butt to break it loose. So this one is going to take an 11mm socket. Let's get it broke loose. See how the fluid starts coming out right away? That's why you don't want to take it all the way out. Make a big mess. Just want it loose so when you get the caliper off, you can get it out easy. Next thing we do, we got 2 bolts to hold the caliper on. One here, and also one on the bottom, down here on the back side. These both take a 12mm. So I'll just break them loose one at a time. And if your bolts are super tight, they're not put in correctly. You shouldn't have to use too much force to break these loose. If you do, somebody just used too much pressure putting them on, because usually when you replace these, the new bolts will have some Loctite on the threads to hold them in so they don't come out. So once you break them loose, just going to unscrew them. As you can see, really short bolt, not very long at all. You can see the green where it had the Loctite on there to hold it in place. Top one, same thing, just take it out. Also a short screw. Okay, so we're gonna have to take the brake line out of the way to get the rotor to come all the way off. So, new caliper comes with new hardware. Gotta make sure you use your washers, because if you don't, you're gonna have leaks. So, I'm gonna break this loose. Get it unscrewed from the caliper. Take the old screw out. New screw in. Make sure you take the old washers off of the old caliper. Get your new washers on. And we'll screw the brake line in to the new one real quick, so we can kind of stop the flow of the fluid while we get the other caliper off real quick. And you also want to make sure it's going to fit back in where it's supposed to be. So we're not going to tighten it down or nothing. Just put it on so fluid stops running out. And then just grab your screwdriver. And just start kind of, you can see right here, get in there. You can see right here there's little piece here, and you got a little separation in your caliper. You don't want to try to pry on here and try to get in that little space, and that'll give you enough to work your caliper loose. Bottom, same thing. Just kind of get it out. Okay, so we had to pry a little extra to get this one broke loose. But you can see the inside has this little clip in here. The new caliper comes with the clip. You can see it's got two different sides to it, so you want to make sure you know how that comes out so you can put the new one into the new caliper the correct way. And you can see the piston's got quite a bit of rust on them here too, so probably a good thing for changing this. There's your new clip. Like I said, make sure you're going to put it back into the new one the same way the old one has it, or you probably have some problems. You just got to push it in from the back side. You can see the new one actually stays in there, where the old one just will kind of fall out, which means it's wearing out. So, got the new one in. All I gotta do, line the caliper back up, slide it back into position there. New one comes with new bolts. You want to make sure you use the new bolts. Get the top one started, and get the bottom one started. And make sure you don't cross thread them. Cross thread them, you have some problems. And you got to buy a new bracket that holds the caliper in, because you can't have strip screws in there. So since we got that part done, we'll go ahead and tighten up the brake line screw here so we can keep our fluid from running all over the place. Just a little snug to get the fluid to quit running out, so we can get our bolts tightened for the caliper. When you tighten these bolts, just get them snug back in. You don't want to put them super tight to start. So when you're putting these back together, these little pins that your bolts from the caliper screw into back here, I don't know if you can see, but they have kind of a flat edge, one on each side. You have to use a wrench to hold that tight to screw these bolts in all the way. This is going to take a 16mm wrench on that. Just put it on that bolt so you can hold it from spinning. Get your bolt tight. Like I said, with these, don't have to be super tight. Just make sure you get them snug, because you don't want them falling off. But like I said before, they do have Loctite on the screws, so that once you get them in, they're not supposed to come out. Then the same thing on the bottom. Gotta use your wrench so you can hold that screw in place, so you can tighten up the bottom bolt. Get the bolt snug, and try to give it like another quarter turn, and that's it. Now, don't forget to make sure that your bolt for your brake line is tightened, because if you remember, we just snugged it so it would quit leaking. Same thing like the other bolts. When it's snug, Give it another quarter turn. You are screwing into an aluminum piece here, so if you go too much, you will strip the threads out, and you're back to square one with spending another $60+ to get another caliper. And that's how you change the caliper on the 2004 Chevy Avalanche 1500 with 4-wheel drive.